Jonah, you carry this for 2 minutes, I'll be with you right now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Thursday Night Racing. Welcome to Project Cars GT3. We're here for round 8. We're in New York State, actually. We're at Watkins, Glen, previous home of the USA Grand Prix. We don't have our usual commentator. We don't have Captain Ice tonight. I am by myself at the moment. I am trying to get Wazzy in the comm box, but a little unsuccessful at the time. But we're working on it. So far, the only cars to have set. There we go. So Chen is fastest so far. He's got a 1 minute 45.6. Really putting down the pace pretty early. Devon in 7th. Someone else has done a lap time. Who's that? That's Gavin. Gavin did a 1:46.6. Just a touch under a second away from provisional pole, which is currently at 1:45.6. Obviously 25 minutes remaining in the session. We started the broadcast a little late. And then obviously after this we have the 1.5 hour endurance race. Still waiting for some of the guys to set the lap time. There we have the judge currently going around. He's in his Porsche. Been in that car most of the season. Let's have Wesley with us tonight. That's going to be a little bit confusing. Judge and Wesley have the same car with the same livery. Haven't seen that before. Raptor having a second attempt after last week. Last week making his debut, having a somewhat decent race, but right at the end they're running out of fuel on his way into the pit entry, which just made it even more cruel. Hopefully he'll be working out his fuel a little better this time around. And there's Max out on circuit, championship leader. No Munna with us tonight, so Max has an opportunity now to extend that lead. There is your provisional pole sitter. He set a 1:45.6. It's actually gone slightly quicker. It's extended that gap to Gavin. It was just a touch under a second. Now it's just a touch over a second. So found a couple of thousandths. 20 minutes remaining in the session. The guys will only get quicker as the session goes on. Ride with Devon currently in 4th. On the board he's got a time of a 1:48.1. Let's follow him around for a lap of Watkins Glen. Quite a open flowing circuit. Did a few laps of it earlier. Quite enjoyed it, but can be quite challenging.
How are you, Jono?
And there we
Hello.
go. I mentioned his name earlier. I said we were trying to get him in here without much success, but what is your status exactly? Can you see anything?
I'm in the spectator mode, even though I am sitting in the pits. Yeah, I don't know how to quit or get out of the car, but I'm in the car and I'm spectating. So it's good.
So we've got 20 minutes remaining in qualifying. 10 minutes have passed so far. Chen on provisional pole.
I can see that. And
he was quickest a little earlier. About an hour before the race, they have a practice session that is open to anyone who wants to join, and he was fastest in that session. So time coming through to qualifying.
You can see some of the quicker guys. Max and Gavin also up there. Ooh, Wes also getting close within a second. Having a spin though. A beautiful Porsche he's driving, by the way.
While I have a driver in the com box, might as well ask you, what's happened to your season here? What happened in that green car? Have you Nico Rosberg that have you
putting me on the spot here. I completed one race where I battled AIs, and the next race that I managed getting the ready button to actually race, I was on slicks in the monsoon in Germany.
That must have been a lot of fun.
So just hold on. Sorry, it's my boss phoning. So sorry, Jono.
Currently in third, we have Wes. He is in the clone Porsche of the judge. This is going to confuse me all race. I've been watching the judge in this very car all season, and now there's two of them. Gavin in the pits, currently fourth in a Ferrari tonight. Not going for his Renault. That's 2 races in a row now that he's abandoned the Renault. Devin in the pits. Here we have a driver. Where is the judge? Currently in 11th, time of 1:48.7. Mentioned earlier he was still struggling to find the right feel for this circuit. Keep an eye on those times and see if they come down as the session continues.
Sorry about that, Jono. The life never stops. Boss's phone and you have to answer.
Unless you're well, where I stay, I conveniently have no cell phone signal in my house, so it really works out as a brilliant. You know, I've still got the data via Wi-Fi, but yeah, if you try to call me and my phone isn't like in the exact right part of the house, it's not going to ring. So I have generally quiet weekends.
I was considering that option while the phone was ringing, but I thought to myself, why do I want to make my Friday very difficult? Anyway.
We just missed it just a couple of moments ago. Nismax, he's gone provisional pole.
Yep.
Beaten that time by Chen, a 1:45.2. Taken a chunk out of it actually. That's 4/10, and he returns to the pits immediately. Now Chen's still out on circuit. Will he react? Can he react?
We've got Raptor in third position, 1.1 off. Good lap from the man.
So having some time off from work, and if I understand correctly, when you have some time off from work, it's usually like a 2 or 3 week period. So yeah, he's been putting some time into the game. Hopefully he just gets his fuel calculations correct this time around, because last week was actually painful. I was basically flipping through the cars, and I got to him, and he was doing what appeared to be a pit stop, because he was entering the pits, but he was going awfully slowly to be entering the pits, and I was like, something's not right, and I'm like, I think he's running out of pits trying to reach the pits, and he didn't make it.
He's taken a leaf out of the book of a certain driver called Gavby. Also doesn't like to put too much fuel in his car, apparently. Talking about Gavin in P5, I'm on him and I see he's driving in the TNR in P1.
That's right.
I know
he's been quite loyal to the Renault team, but in the last 2 races he has been, I don't know, going up and down the pits, let's say.
Maybe it's McLaren's got better fuel efficiency, I don't know. We'll have to ask him once he gets onto the podium, maybe. If he doesn't run out of fuel, of course. Gavin, ek lief jou. By die kar.
Judge still sitting down in 11th. Currently 4 seconds off the pace, 148.7. Running wide there over the grass. Still battling, still struggling.
Yeah, I'll get into
it. Couldn't get the balance of it. Was complaining about it earlier, and was trying some different setup tips in the practice session. Hopefully those will still just under half the session remaining.
Yeah.
Times can still come down considerably. Look at that time by Chen, it's a 1:44.7.
Yeah, it's a good battle right at the sharp end of the field.
Muna obviously not here tonight, as I mentioned earlier. Nismax's main competitor, so maybe Chen is stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
Could make for an interesting race.
Muna stuck on the wrong side of the country, unfortunately, due to work commitments. Feel for you, brother, I know what it feels like, but we'll get back in the car soon. In Joburg, of course.
Botha is in a Ferrari, currently third, 1.6 seconds off the pace.
Jono, you've got obviously way more experience about, especially the newer drivers in the field. I've got some names here in P8 and P9 and P10. Any news on these guys? How they're performing? Where they're from?
Which ones?
I've got a DEF, OBR, and a LEW. I don't know these gents, unfortunately.
See, now some of these names are going to be AI.
Is it AI?
Yeah, not everybody's a human driver. So I'll just go down the list. In first place, Chen, that is a human driver. Obviously, Nismax, Raptor, Wesley, Gavpig, Toki.
Yeah.
Then Devon in 8th.
Yes.
Judge in 11th.
Yeah.
And then that's your human drivers.
And
so it's Judge.
14.
So it's Judge, Devon, Toki, Gavin, Wes, Raptor, Nismax, Chen. The rest are AI.
Sure, because I know some of the gents joined the party chat, or not the party chat, the chat on the social WhatsApp group, and I know Connor and some gents, I don't know. I thought maybe they were in here, I wasn't sure.
Connor's not here. I think he does race here, he's just not with us tonight. I've seen his name in in the lobby.
Now it's just, that's me fishing, who's what, where.
So the top two drivers separated by 0.4 of a second. Then quite a substantial gap down to third. But then if you look at the gap between third and sixth, it's really close. Look at that.
Close. Yeah, it is.
It's all 1.8, 1.8, 1.8. That's
quite close, yeah.
No, that's really close.
It's a lot of Porsches I'm seeing here as well. Some of them looking a little bit worse for wear.
Sitoki does have a penalty. I'm just going to bring up the timing screen for a second so I can clarify what the penalty is. It's going to be a 1 grid place penalty. That's either... It's probably speeding in the pit lane. It's usually what it is.
Yeah.
And that will hurt because now Chen will receive a 1 grid place penalty for a pit lane violation. So, doesn't really matter what lap he does, he's not going to be able to hold on to pole. If things ended now, Nosemax would take pole position.
I'm pretty sure he'll gun it so it doesn't fall off the front row of the grid, so...
I'll say that Nosemax emerges from the pits.
Let's go on board and have a look. Beautiful Audi he's driving there. Oh, no, he's back in the pits. Anyway, to cross back to Chen, following him. It looks like he's still on it. Not leaving anything out there. He wants that front row start. Good to see that.
Chen's still on provisional pole, but as things stand, he will lose that position with the 1 grid place penalty. Nosemax came out of the pits, went back in. Obviously just needed to touch something up because he's on his way again. He's coming out of the pits. We're right now with Raptor in the Ferrari.
Okay.
So let's just have a look what camera angles I have available here. There we go. An onboard view of Watkins Glen. Now he's just in front of him, it's with an AI.
I will not attempt to try to get on the onboard footage. I don't know how. I'll just follow him around, yeah. Having some traffic in front of him.
Needs to get around. Can you confirm, is that an AI or?
I don't know. Okay. Scroll through. Look.
Problem I have actually noticed within this game is that the AI can be particularly punchy when they don't need to be. Like such as in a qualifying session, they'll race you for position, and when it comes to lapping them, they can get rather messy.
P13 Cal that's been holding up Raptor, I'm pretty sure he's hot under the collar. That one.
Gavin set a great lap time and then disappeared into the pits. 144.9.
Ooh,
that means if things ended now, Gavin would be on pole.
Gavin. Good lap. Didn't know the old man had it in him. He's got an American flag on his roof as well. Which is not surprising, seeing he's a very big Donald Trump supporter.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Big Trump supporter.
Let's have a look at Nosemax on a flyer here. Follow him around. Looks pretty on it.
He's going to want to improve on this time, because if things end like this, Gavin's going to get pole as of the penalty for Chen, which means he will have Chen between him and Gav at the start.
That's correct. That's correct.
He'd rather at least get up into second place so that he can claim pole position.
Exactly.
Still 5 minutes remaining, so he'll be able to finish this run and have another.
I'm sure he would. He'll have a couple of runs. But we all know the good old ancient rivalry between Nizmax and Gavpeg. The guys know each other well, and when they're on fire, both of them, in top form, produces fantastic race. So I hope they can get front row positions, both of them.
Hope that Gavin has gotten better as the season has progressed with his consistency, but still makes mistakes here and there. And when you're speaking of consistency, then you're looking at the guy here in third place. He can just go around and around and around and disappear into the distance. And he doesn't make that many mistakes.
No, he doesn't. But I think Gavin's gain in performance is more the vehicle than actual driving skill. But no, he'll give me some shit after the race, but it's okay. But I'm glad to see that. Oh, Nizmax back in the pits, just as we were following in.
Raptor still fifth with that 146.3, hasn't been able to improve. Still 1.6 seconds off of provisional pole. Currently fifth. And now he spins it around.
Yeah.
That's not what he wanted to do.
Just that tricky chicane there. I think he's trying to carry too much speed. If it was me, I would have tried to get a better exit and scrubbing off a little bit more speed, having that stability and nailing the exit.
Let's ride the car number 93, Devon, currently in 9th place. He is currently last of the human drivers. He's down in 9th. You can just find a 10th here, not even a 10th. Look at the time difference. He just needs to literally find a 1,000th. You can find a 1,000th. We'll have all the human drivers above the AI drivers.
Yep.
That always hurts though when it's just 1,000th.
It's not. It's about half a second off the judge. Oh no! Also back to the pits. The judge doing well, mentioning getting in there in P7.
But definitely the lap times have come down. He was a bit worried about the track earlier, but times have come down. Obviously getting a better feel for it. Gavin's still in second. For the time being, 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Nizmax is in the pits.
Yeah.
He was able to improve, but he didn't improve enough.
He's planning a masterclass. He's gonna go out with 2 minutes to go, hit one quick lap, and see if he can blast it to the front row.
0.3 of a second cover your top two.
Fantastic. Good to see. The other thing I find with this game, Jonathan, if you do more qualifying laps on these tires, you can't put new ones on. So the less running you do with a quicker time, that will also benefit you at the end of the day. So
still no movement from Nizmax in the pits. Just over 2 minutes remaining. He's gonna have a final go at it. It's gonna be now. Nothing from that weird green car that's just been sitting in the pits all morning. But
oh yeah, that one. I heard
it's pretty bashed up.
Broke. The prop shaft went. It's gone.
It's pretty bashed up, and it's just been abandoned. I mean, the team's not even there. They've all just left. They've said to hell with this.
Yeah, Project Cars 2, Jeff said...
They called Uber and just said pub. Now, nearest
Yes.
pub.
Project 2, Jeff said, cut the engine, top shaft's gone, get out of the car. We converted the boot into a cooler box. Come have a beer. So, yeah.
We're still in 4th, Raptor still in 5th. They're both out on circuit trying to improve. Nismax has not chosen to come out, so he'll be happy with that 3rd. That looks like Gavin will start on pole. There's 1 minute remaining on the clock, so Nismax won't be able to get out there.
Gavin would absolutely love to take pole straight up, push it down to P3, obviously, because Nismax will move up one then. He's doing it. He's trying his darndest.
Showing some serious pace.
You know, Gavin, he won't be happy if you can't have a pole straight up. He doesn't want it with a penalty hanging over another driver.
20 seconds remaining on the clock. Don't know if we'll see too many changes in the times. Don't know if Wes and Raptor have the pace to catch Nismax. If anything's going to change, it's going to be Gavin. Is he going to get an outright pole? But even if he doesn't improve, he'll claim pole position due to that penalty. So either way, he's seeing him at the...
He's pushing. That McLaren is bending all kinds of shapes into and out of the corners.
Definitely twitching left and right. He's giving it everything. He can improve. Needs to find a little more than 0.2 of a second. That would be a time of a 1:44.6. And he's fine about 3/10 of a second.
You'll get there. It looks like a solid lap from now. Well, looking from the outside, got no telemetry. I don't know how the lap's going, but judging that he's still gunning for it.
When we get to the game, I think you should go out of the lobby and then return, and then just join in as a spectator, because I think that will give you a lot more telemetry.
Oh, I see bollards in the road.
He ran wide there and hit the wall, and that wasn't ideal. I don't know if that was ultimately what cost him, but if there was mistakes earlier on in the lap, but surely that couldn't have helped, and it's not going to matter too much. I'm sure I wonder if he's aware that Chen has that one grid place penalty. He might not be. Maybe that's why he was giving it everything. But I'd be pleasantly surprised if he wasn't aware of it.
He's a South African living in Ghana, driving a McLaren with an American flag on it.
Okay, qualifying session has come to an end. Let me just read the final results to you. Obviously in first place Chen, then Gavin. Nismax came 3rd there, Wesley 4th, Raptor 5th, Toki in 6th. He got a penalty, so he's going to start in 7th. Judge will start in 6th. Then we have an AI. We have Devon down in 9th, and we got Wazzy down in 14th, but he's not going to be starting because he's up in the com box with me. We decided to do something a little different tonight. Your finishing record hasn't been fantastic, so you thought, why not? They serve beer up there, so
yes,
you get one of those VIP cards and they bring you everything. No,
I was in the car. Jonathan said, "Wiki, combox, there's beer available. Just join me." And there was no hesitation.
It's been a while since we've commentated.
Exactly.
So
and it's always a pleasure, and I'm waiting for the
a bit of a
lull, and I want to hear the stories that you produce? Because me and you being the same age, a little bit seasoned.
The stories you speak of are going to be a little bit more difficult to come to. I'm not as, you know, I like F1. I'm not a expert in all FIA events, but
Listen, my friend, if we speak F1 at the GT3 race, don't be scared. Just do it. We'll see. The race will probably hit a lull somewhere along the line. We can hit it.
obviously now just waiting. Cars doing their final settings, final strategies, whatever it is they do. Because I've actually never had a race in one of these, so
do you think it's best for me to leave the lobby right now and then join once they start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. You'll obviously you'll hear when the race starts from me, and then you just join the lobby, and you'll only have the option of joining as a spectator.
I think I've got a spare invite or two. I'll just wait for your signal.
Let's see, no rush at the moment. We've still got the results up on screen. This does take a bit of a while. Sometimes you even think the game is broken. On one or two occasions, I've started pressing things and gone to Race Central by accident, and like wondering why the race is not starting, and it is. I'm just not in the lobby. Just want to mute that. I've also got the stream on, but I've got it muted. Otherwise, you're gonna hear yourself just a few moments later. It's quite terrifying, really. It's like, oh my word, is that what I sound like? No wonder people look at me funny. Nice to see the 3 South African flags there on top. And what is that? Vettel in 4th? What's with the German flags? Am I missing something?
I don't know.
Is it the teammates thing? They've got the same Porsche. They've both got German flags. I don't know, this is, didn't find out. Nobody told me about this. There's a lot of similarities between these two. Okay, so Nizmax there on the YouTube stream just saying 5 minutes. So, obviously just waiting for some final preparations. Just to confirm that order for you one more time while we have time. Chen he took pole position. He set a time of 1:44.7, but unfortunately picked up a 1 grid place penalty, so he will be starting in 2nd. Gavin, he will be starting from pole, set a time of 1:44.9, and then Nizmax will start in 3rd. That's your championship leader. Chen and Gav will want to keep him in 3rd for as long as possible. Don't want one of those races gets himself into the lead and disappears. And then making up the rest of the field, Wesley in 4th, Raptor 5th, Toki 6th, the Judge in 7th, and Devon 9th. Yes.
Good effort from Wesley, because I know he hasn't been.
Yeah, he hasn't been very. I don't know. I haven't seen him around much, so I don't think he's been practicing that much. And really decent time, 1:46.0. Nice return.
Man from PE showing the guys is still around. Like it.
Okay, Wazzy, you're gonna have to retire.
Okay, but I'm not in the game even.
Yeah, I guess it's when the race, when you're gonna have to start the race, and then once you've started the race, you're gonna have to
I'm
either
sure,
leave the lobby,
Now, if I don't hit the ready button, I should not enter the race.
Okay.
So let me head back to the lobby.
That could also work. Nesmax, if you can hear me, would that work? I think Nesmax watches the stream, so he can probably hear us.
Yeah, no, it will definitely.
For anyone who's watching, just a little bit of patience. Just that period between qualifying and the race.
It says waiting, yeah, so it's obviously waiting to count down to start. And then I'll be able to join. I think.
Okay, Nesmax says here that once the race starts, then you need to retire.
Okay.
Okay, so do it that way.
It says on the lobby screen at the bottom where you normally enter, it says waiting. So I'm pretty sure once the race starts, it will kick me out and I'll be able to get into the spectator screen where I want to be.
You've never wanted to start a race so badly to retire. Okay, well, yes. Finally something's happening on my screen. Okay, there we go.
Spectate. So I'm going to the spectator screen, loading up. So if you guys see a bush green BMW in the middle of the track, I do apologize.
But anyway, basically, what can you see the on top in the middle? No. Says time remaining.
I'm still loading in.
Oh, okay. So basically, the time does start running down. Like at the moment, it says 1 minute 29. That'll just run down while the guys are doing their final touch-ups, their final little tweaks, and then that time will load up to 1:30 again, and that will be the race start. When you see the 1:30 on your screen, so Gavin's starting on the front row, alongside the man who actually set the pole time. So two very quick guys, just 0.2 of a second separated those two lap times. They're starting from the front row, and then just a further 2 seconds back, further 0.2 of a second back was Nesmax. So 0.4 of a second within those top three.
I'm looking forward to a ripper.
Crucially, if Wesley and Raptor can get a good start, they can obviously affect these faster guys' plans. Well, there we go. Screen's back up to 1:30. We're going to start this race.
It's coming off.
And we're away. There we go.
Gavin with a mega start.
Gavin getting away with a great start. He's going to lead into turn one. And look at that. Chen goes around the outside. Very confident around the outside. He takes the lead of the race. Was supposed to start on pole. Maybe felt that position was his. Just took it back. Nicely done how he went around the outside. Wesley did get a good start. He's up into third. And he's ahead of Nesmax. Now Nesmax will wanna get by. Already
a little bit of off.
Chen and Gavin already 2.5 seconds up the road from this battle for third. So Nesmax will wanna get by before that gap continues to grow. Devon in fifth. Where are the rest of the human drivers? Let's have a look. Here is Toki. Toki's in 8th. The judge is down in 10th.
Doing well, attacking on the inside, getting past Devon.
Let's go back up to Nismax, where there he is. He's still behind Wesley, hasn't made his way into third just yet. Gap at the front, starting to grow a little. 1.4 seconds. Now obviously 2 nights ago I was commentating on an F1 race. Endurance racing is something very different. While the guys do spend more or less the same time, I would say, on track between the two formats. I think just with the fuel loads and everything else, endurance racing changes a heck of a lot. I mean, we don't know who's quick right now because they've got basically no fuel in their car, and he's going a little slower than we expect, but they've got a full tank of fuel.
Yep.
So different strategies could be at play, or they could all be on the same strategy.
For some reason, if I look at Gavin's McLaren and seeing how it's scooching around, something tells me that cars run fuel. Obviously learning from previous mistakes.
Gavin now 1.6 seconds behind the leader. Chen clearing a way out at the front. In the meantime, Nismax has found his way up into third place. Wesley down to 10th. So he's obviously made a mistake somewhere. Finds himself, I'm just gonna, if you go between 9th and 10th, is it okay if I call these two teammates? Because, I mean, really,
It looks similar, yes.
yeah, Judge and it's exactly the same livery. Gav's still in second, but now he's gonna start coming under a little bit of pressure because Nismax has been released. He was beyond Wes for some time. He's been released, and soon he's going to be in the mirrors of that McLaren.
They're also catching up. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there, running wide.
Yeah, he runs wide. This is going to let Nismax come right at him. The gap between Gavin and Nismax was 2 seconds. It actually didn't cost him too much. That's still 2 seconds. So he seems to have gotten away with that. Chen giving it everything, just clipping the grass there on the inside of the corner, using all of the track that he can. That little chicane he went through, that is quite difficult, by the way.
Yeah.
I tried that earlier, and well, it's a double chicane.
Gavin wide again. This makes right on him right now.
Gavin now
Actually
making mistakes. Nismax has gotten by. He's up into second. And Gavin, thought for a second I saw Gavin has a penalty of some kind. I'll clarify that by bringing up the timing screen. Just a 1 second penalty for now, so nothing too serious, but obviously that came from one of his running wide, probably going off the circuit and getting an invalidated lap. Nismax now 1.5 seconds behind Chen. For the first time we see these two really have a go at each other, being separated in the race so far.
We'll just monitor the gap there. 1.7 for now. I think Nismax will reel him in slightly. I've got a feeling that Gavin's got a fall backward. Talking about Gavin, he's into the pits.
Gavin's into the pits. He's actually exiting the pits, so didn't spend too much time there. Not sure what that was all about. He's down to 8th place. Started from pole and now he's on the grass again. So those new, fresh, cold tyres won't like that.
No.
I might just feel rough for the next lap. Might be coming under pressure from Wesley he doesn't find some momentum. Judge still holding his own down in 10th place.
It's surprising because he started in 6th, slipped a bit down. Not sure what happened. It seems like
all these AI are pretty close together, so if you can get into those battles, you'll quickly make up a couple of positions. Back at the front, Nizmax now closing that gap. Last time we had a look, that gap was 1.5 seconds. It's now a second. It's briefly 9/10, so it's getting close. How will Chen drive under pressure? And then obviously, what are the fuel loads? And now Gavin getting passed by Wesley, loses another position, goes down to 9. Sure, he's not going to be too impressed at this point. He's looking forward to this race. Had a lot of speed on this track. We saw that in qualifying. We saw that in the opening stages of the race. Just now making one or two mistakes and really battling to find his feet, get going again, find some momentum. That's what he needs to do. He's down in 9th and he's been sandwiched between the 2 yellow Porsches of the Judge and Wesley. Rocky is in 6th. Kevin having a good race so far. He's in 4th, been consistent. Stayed out of trouble, don't see any damage on that car. Keeping it clean. Having a race of his own. Now that gap at the front, it's grown up, it's grown again, now 3 seconds, so I'm not sure if Nizmax made a bit of a mistake off camera that we didn't see. The gap at the front going up to 3 seconds. Briefly at 9/10 of a second, so Chen will get some respite, get some time to take a breath.
Chen doing well, keeping it consistent, but
that gap now 4 seconds.
we still have a hell of a long race to go, and as you know, one pit stop. Oh dear, who is that? Gavin. Oh.
Well, when it comes to Gavin is in the pits yet again. Not sure why, but things going from bad to worse. Not having the Thursday night he would have liked. Another man coming into the pits just behind Gavin is the Judge. That was a really quick polish up job, I'll tell you that much. I just saw that car, just wow, I want to go to that place. I mean, that was bumpers, polish, everything appeared. Just, you know, you just park it on the block and everything. Wow, I like that. So Chen still leads this race, 3.5 seconds the gap, so it has come down a little bit. As Max, if it was a mistake he made, maybe just starting to recover now. Devin is down in 5th. If he lost the position to an AI, it appears so. I'm not sure if this AI has been set up in its difficulty, but it appears so. We have an AI in 3rd and 4th. So they're definitely not slow. Gap again, 4 seconds. So I don't see any major mistakes from Nismax, so it just seems like Chen is able to respond. Maybe he does have a much lighter car. We don't know at this stage. Gonna have to wait that first round of pit stops between the leaders to reveal that. Kevin now coming up behind one of the Porsches. I believe this is to lap them. Up at the front, just yo-yoing. We saw it at 9/10. We saw it at a second and a half. We've seen it at 4. Now at 2.5. Going up and down as the drivers make little errors here and there. Still very, very close. And we've seen it before that this can really just come down to the fuel strategy and how you use your fuel in the race. I mean,
tires as well. If you stop at the right time, you get fresh rubber. It can be a second a lap, even more. So
if
this race is far from over.
Still an hour and 15 minutes to go, so we've only had 15 minutes in this race, long way to go. Chen leads for now, 2.7 seconds is the gap at the front, 2.2 as I say that. So he lost half a second somewhere in my sentence, I'm not sure how.
Chen had an oversteer moment and yeah, he caught it well, but it was almost race ending.
Cost him 7/10. Actually cost him a little more because that time continues to come down.
It's like you said in the beginning, even in qualifying, Jono, Mr. Consistency, Nismax, that man will hound you all race long. He raced you.
Problem is, even if you are faster than him, he can stay behind you and you're gonna make errors eventually, and he can just go around and around. Well, unless he's unless it's Friday night. No, he's I believe I've heard that his F1 super license has been revoked, which is why we're not seeing him tomorrow night.
Ooh, Nismax.
Yeah, that's right. Won't be seeing him until the new season. F1 super license revoked.
I would have said it was Uncle Charlie's fault, but
so we'll see Nismax back in a F1 car at TNB sometime in January.
Fantastic.
We might see my co-commentator back in actually I'm not going to say that. What? By like season 11.
What season we at now? No,
I don't know, we can't get to 11 because we only have 3 or 4 a year, and then the new game comes out.
Work is a little bit crazy, but yeah, no, my plan, my goal always is to make the race and get there eventually. And I can tell you now, it's not that I don't want to be in the car, I really do. It's just a bit tough at the moment. But no ball, you never know. And you know, if I get into the car, I'll Max Verstappen the shit out of it.
Chen still leads this race now on lap 9. That gap coming down, it's now 1.2 seconds. Lights starting to take effect as it gets darker.
I think fuel loads also has...
Is Max just giving us a flick of the lights there going over the straight?
I'm coming, I'm coming.
letting Devon know.
Oh no, good old.
You have 8 I cars covering 3rd, 4th and 5th. And for the next human driver, we've got Devon, he's down in 6th. He's been pretty loyal to that car all season.
Akura.
Where's he now? Flashing the lights. Wonder if that is some distraction tactics. And it seems like he's distracted himself.
Yeah.
He's lost it. Luckily kept it out of the wall. Don't think he got any damage on that. But now he's stationary. He gets going again. But he's lost the position.
I tell you, it's not the N12 weather. You don't need to flash your lights. You're just hampering yourself.
Now that will obviously, that has cost him 11 seconds. He was just behind Devon. It's now 11 seconds behind Devon. He's going to have to do some hard work if he's going to get back to where he was. Raptor has... But I missed something. I apologize. I don't know. Raptor has been disqualified from the race. We have a disqualification.
Maybe he was catching some chock on the side of the track there, I don't know.
Well, it says pit lane violation. So,
yeah. We all know the force wasn't very keen on pulling in or pulling off, especially into the pits. So something must have gone wrong there. Maybe he had an altercation with Jeff, vice engineer.
Something not going as planned, and he made his debut last week, had some bad luck with the fuel, and second go at it, not having the best of luck with the stewards.
Maybe he was having a little bit of a tip with the fuel engineer, putting fuel in the car, I don't know.
Chen still leads 1.2 seconds, so that gap holding stable for the time being.
It's been under 2 seconds the whole race, and something tells me this Max is biding his time.
Doesn't need to pass him right now, does he? He just needs to stay behind him. I mean, Chen's going pretty quick, so it's not really hampering his race. He's not really holding him up. He's going pretty quick as it is. So, just keeping that safe distance behind him, following him around the track. Third place gets further and further down the road. 20 seconds the gap. They've been flipping that curve on the inside. You don't want to take too much of that curve. You can spin around quite quickly. I noticed that earlier.
I think
Gap just holding at a second.
If Chen wants to win this race, he needs to show his mettle right now, because he's got this Max within 1.5 seconds, not bearing down, but keeping station. And we all know this man is Mr. Consistent. So if you make one mistake, 2 seconds will be wiped out very quickly. So
only did 5 or 6 laps of this earlier, and not much. I'm not very loyal to my project cars game, so I don't know when the last time I did some laps was, but something I did notice about this track is I can't imagine it's very easy to pass. From the few laps I did, it's pretty narrow in places, and there's no real deep braking points. It's not a Herman-type track.
Dude, I'm so happy I joined you in the commentary box for tonight. Relaxing, having a look at the great race.
Not getting frustrated with that green car.
Exactly. Because I would have claimed it somewhere already, long time ago.
Then briefly opened that gap up to 2 seconds again, and Nismax responds immediately, brings the gap down to a second, and you don't really see the gap come down too much more than that. Seems like he's holding it at a second.
If you have a close look, especially when they're both on screen and entering a corner like that, have a look at that Ferrari. It's twitching around a little bit. Nismax is so much smoother, meaning his tire life will be. Look at that Ferrari, it's all over the place. Nismax is so much smoother, telling me he's probably got more fuel, but he's keeping his tires so much better. So, like you know, Jonathan, when the strategy comes around, he's gonna win. He's gonna make. Look at that. Sorry, you going onto the onboard, and I'm seeing gap down to 0.3 of a second.
This is the closest the gap has been. I haven't seen it this close. We're riding on board with Nismax. Got pretty close a few corners ago. 7 cents now the gap.
For me, this Audi R8 or the V10 version, whichever it is, handling so much better. And it doesn't look like he's over-exaggerating his movement or pushing too hard.
You don't want to push too hard. It's when you start pushing too hard and braking too late and turning too late, and that's when your tires just fall off the cliff.
That Ferrari he is pushing to keep that lead.
Still leads the race by 10ths of a second. Some more flashing lights from Nismax. Thanks for that.
Like this is disco.
Looked really interesting in bumper cam. My whole, I had my house was in darkness because I haven't switched the lights on, so it's literally just the TV, and I leave it like that because the TV's pretty big and it lights up the room pretty nicely. But yeah, for a second there, if anyone was standing outside, they were like, "What is that guy doing? What is that guy up to?"
But anyway, yeah, something tells me. Obviously, I can see what you see, and it's fantastic to see the onboard. Thanks for that. But something tells me that Ferrari is running out of tires there.
Gap now 1.3, 1.4 seconds. So Nismax just letting that line go a little bit again. We got pretty close. Maybe just thought better of it. He's sort of like playing with his food.
Nah, he doesn't want to follow too closely with the broken aerodynamics and damaging your path. Because within 2 seconds, you'll be happy. Where he wants to be.
See, now we ride on board with Devon. Devon, obviously how these, just to remind you.
Earlier this tonight, he wears a white coat. Now he is the original doctor.
Just to remind anyone who forgets, Devon is currently, technically, in third. If the race were to end right now, he would take points for third place. The AI do not collect points, so he would be promoted to third place. So he's in a good spot at the moment. We haven't even mentioned it. Unfortunately, I didn't see it, but yeah, Gavin is obviously not here. Raptor is obviously not here, so we've lost a few.
Gavin's not here.
Gavin is not on this list. We saw multitude of errors at the start of the race and multitude of pit stops, that some of which didn't make a lot of sense. Came in for a very short period of time and left. So
I think he just broke a McLaren.
Either broke a McLaren or Project Cars broke Gavin.
Even better.
I think that's the case. I think Project Cars just broke Gavin. Let's go back at the front just to check on that fight. Nothing at the moment. 1.8 seconds the gap. So no one, is Max not interested in getting into that fight for the time being. I think, you know, if he's, it could come down to if he's not pushing as hard as the leader and he's on a, not necessarily lean, but if he's on a lighter fuel mix, he could be saving fuel, have potentially shorter pit stop and get out in front. That's considering they have the same fuel. I'm not sure of their fuel levels.
This Max is very intelligent. He's like a...
Like you say, he's driving really smooth and he looks pretty comfortable, and I haven't seen him running wide or clipping grass or anything like that. And the leader, he's quick, but every now and then, like I say, just a wheel on the grass there.
Yeah. Spot on. That's why...
Again, over the grass.
Yep.
See it again. Just doesn't want to do too much of that. You could potentially get a penalty, and in a close race like this, even a 1 second penalty could swap these cars around.
This makes really on him right now.
Half a second the gap. Maybe thinking about it again. If he gets past, he could potentially run off into the distance.
No, well,
Chen hasn't been able to get away necessarily.
Do you know, I have to step out of the com box again just for a second. Sorry.
Let's have a look at Devon. Currently in 6th place. He does have that is it a 1 second penalty? Let's just confirm. Just a 1 second penalty, so he will have 1 second added on to his time. 7th place far behind him, so he doesn't need to worry too much about it. Like to get a little up the road and start interacting with those AIs. Gap at the front, just 9/10 of a second. So Chen has had to drive with Nismax in his mirrors for quite a few laps now. We're all waiting now for that. When will the first round of pit stops come? When will the first driver jump? We're not at halfway distance just yet, and the pit stops don't necessarily come at halfway distance. I've seen guys do their first pit stop 1 hour into the race. Ride with Wes for a while. He's doing really well actually at the start of the race. He got a great start, then he actually jumped Nismax, found himself in 3rd place at the start of the race. Then he was able to hold on to that position quite some time, while the 1st and 2nd ran away. Nismax eventually got by because of a mistake, and this man had to come into the pits and now finds himself in 9th place, quite some way off the lead. And then in an identical car just down the road, you see the judge in 10th. Bumper not looking too fantastic. A lot of loose bits on that car, and that light's not working. Back at the front. Gap a little bigger than we've seen it in a while. 2.4 seconds your gap. But I wonder, is this Nismax's strategy? Is he just keeping him close? Or are they generally the same pace? Not a lot of battles on track at the moment. Not a lot to speak about. Obviously, just a little information on today's venue, Watkins Glen. Actually, quite a historic track, and was built back in the 60s, I believe, and was once home to the United States Grand Prix for 20 years. It's the longest running US Grand Prix, so technically Watkins Glen still the most successful US track ever on the F1 calendar.
Sorry, Jono.
Then we have Wazzy back with us. Boss annoying him on the phone.
Left, right and center, you can't believe it.
Just telling whoever was watching, Watkins Glen is actually the most successful US Grand Prix circuit so far. It actually ran the US Grand Prix for 20 years in Formula 1.
This is the information I was talking about earlier. The knowledgeable Mr. Jonathan Fernandez.
Watkins Glen was home to the United States Grand Prix between the years of 1971 and 1980. No, 1969 and 1980.
The days of James
61 and 80. So yes, in the days of James Hunt, this would be the US Grand Prix.
Okay. Good days.
Different times.
Yep.
Brutal racing in literal horizontal bullets. There was no discussion about safety or anything like that. It was, how do we make this thing go fast?
If you close the door on a driver and you were too late, you were side by side, you knock him. There wasn't a discussion after the race with the stewards. It was a fist fight.
I actually saw pictures of it was James Hunt. It was from that era. It was one of those drivers, and he was in this car, and it was a testing session, and you should have seen the state of this car. If it was F1 today, they would have never in their life let that car leave the pits. But it was testing and no one cared. But this thing didn't have fairings, I guess. You could see the driver. Like, you could see his legs. It was open on the sides, and that's what they were testing. And I'm like, oh my word, it's completely open.
That's beautiful. That's like guys with a ball sack as big as my kneecap going out in a car saying, I gaan hierdie kak uit hierdie kar uitry.
Chen still leads 1.3 seconds now. Not much difference at the front. Just the one penalty for the drivers on the grid at the moment. That is for Devon. It's a 1 second penalty.
For driving a Honda. Ooh, Chen off the circuit.
Chen now making a mistake, and that's what we were talking about.
Right on him. Mr. Consistent.
Now that mistake didn't cost him too much. He's been able to gain some momentum again and stay in front. And
I think personally,
Nisnax didn't seem to fight that too hard.
I think he's waiting for the pit stop window to come around.
I think he could have had more of a go at that?
That Ferrari's got too much straight line speed. It's got more power, it's got a little bit more straight line speed, and he knows the only way he can pass on this circuit is down the straight they're on now, breaking into the chicane maybe. It's the only realistic chance looking at it. So he's biding his time for the pit stop window. And I mean, if you cut 5 seconds there by saving fuel, 5 seconds is 5 seconds.
Obviously, another thing to remember. Obviously, you race this, but just another thing to remember is obviously, if you're used to F1, you got to remember that in an endurance race, a pit stop could take well over a minute.
Yes.
So some of these little gaps that you see of 1 second and 2 seconds and 5 seconds, they really don't mean anything.
No.
You could have a slightly more damaged car, and that 10-second gap would mean absolutely nothing. Now a proper crash.
There goes Chen.
Chen has put that in the wall.
That's what I'm talking about.
That put him stationary for a moment, and
that consistent 2-second gap made him do that. And that Ferrari is running out of tires, I can tell you that. I won't be surprised if he pulls into the pits.
No, he doesn't. He stays out. Probably have a lap or two, and just if he feels that that car isn't drivable, we'll probably see him pop into the pits. But that gap now 6.5 seconds, and I'm sure we're going to see Nismax run off into the distance.
I can tell you, Nismax,
he's got no reason to hang back.
No reason, and he's very intelligent. Alonso-like. He will be running lean fuel, saving his tires with his smooth driving action, and keeping pace.
So you're saying Nismax is intelligent because he's like Alonso? What are you trying to say? My name is not Fernando.
This man can drive a car quickly, and he can sit in the deck chair and drink beer just as quickly. So, you know what I'm saying?
And he can drive the car while drinking the beer.
Exactly.
Then you've got a champion.
It's what he is. What he is.
That gap coming down a little bit. We saw it was 6.5 seconds when Chen managed to get on his way again. It's now 4.5. But surely he's got to have damage on that car. It was a pretty hard shunt.
Chen is a quick driver. I think with more experience, the longer this championship goes on, the more he will feature, especially if he practices and he gets his strategy 100%. He'll feature. He'll feature this guy. You can see him fighting this Ferrari all the way around every fucking corner. But he's quick. Very quick.
Devin still holding on to 6th.
Devin the doctor. Driving a Honda. Was a Yamaha, bro. Just joking. I thought he would, I've seen the gentleman in the chat mentioning times, and Devin didn't look particularly slow in any of those chats, so...
Yeah, definitely. He's, another thing is that it's the same as the F1. It's the one lap pace, and then when it comes to consistency, and there's some guys that have that consistency, and there's others that they're just going to make a mistake, and all you need to do is make a little mistake every 5 or 10 laps, and it's effectively going to cost you any chance of a win, because the guys at the front, that's the difference. They've got that consistency. They don't make those mistakes. And
I mean, we're on lap 23, and Chen must have made a mistake 2 laps ago. So lap 20, out of a possible I can't see the time. Time remaining 48 minutes. It's well halfway through, almost.
So when we get to 45, we will be at halfway distance.
So he got to halfway distance before he made a mistake. And if he can work on that, no reason why this gentleman can't win a race.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you know, if you don't have consistency and you don't have speed, well, then you've got a lot to work on. But if you've got this guy's speed, and he just needs to iron out those mistakes, eliminate those mistakes, and minimize them as much as possible, and he'll have a potential race winner.
Yeah, I think, like you know, Jonathan, this game is a little bit technical as well.
It's a difficult one.
It's setups, and you need to spend time on your car to make it quick. This guy's just genuinely quick. It just doesn't.
Another thing is, I'm not 100% sure. You know, if you went around here with a particular car and worked out a setup that was perfect for you, and then I sort of copy and pasted the setup, I'm not absolutely sure that setup would work for me. I think it's about finding how to make whatever car it is. If you're in the Renault, if you're in the Porsche, if you're in the Audi, whatever car it is, you need to find the setup that you feel you're getting the most out of that car. And it might not necessarily be the same settings for the next guy. So
that's the tricky thing about this game. You need to spend time, get this up, get it what you wanted. And I can tell you now, me coming in, I barely race on this. I am quick sometimes, but not here, because the car doesn't feel right, and you need to get the car right.
Thing is, the car is right, but the thing is, on this game, it takes time to understand that car, and I mean, I do laps and laps of F1, you know, since I've got my rig, I do laps of F1 every day, and today, Dirk, in the practice session, told me to, you know, do a few laps in the practice session, and I went around, and I'm not sure how many laps I did, 7 or 8, but I can tell you that towards the end of that, my arms were getting sore, and my wheel was just so much more active than it was on the F1 game. It was fighting me, and I could feel the bumps, and you'd come out of a corner and apply your accelerator a little bit too hard, and you could just feel that steering wheel fighting you. It's a lot more. I'd say if you're on a wheel, this is actually quite physical. If your feedback's a bit high.
Let me tell you, it's accurate. If you and me, we take a car, same car with no setup going through, we'll hit a lap, do it probably similarly. If you set up the car right to what you feel comfortable with, you're not talking tenths. It's not 1 or 2 tenths.
Yeah.
You're talking about 1.5 to 2 seconds, easy, if not more. So it demands you to play the game first of all. Second of all, get the setup right, and it's very track specific.
Yeah, it's very track specific, and it's even car specific. I mean, the setups do not translate well between the cars. We've actually got our leader. He's come into the pits. We've seen this Max did take the lead of this race, and then he went into the pits. Chen regained the lead, but now he's in the pits. I'd be surprised if there isn't damage on this car, because it's quite a shunt into the wall earlier, which allowed this man to take the lead of the race. He's now down in 6th. He's coming up behind Devon. This is for position, so Devon doesn't need to wave him by. He can get his elbows out and make a bit of a fight for it. That will be what Chen will be hoping for. And if Max can get held up by a bit of traffic. Where is Nizmax? Oh, look at that. He's only coming on to the pit straight now. So that means Chen has emerged from the pits ahead. He is in third. The two AIs lead first and second.
Good pit stop.
Yeah, he did a really quick pit stop. I presumed he would have had...
I don't know.
I don't think he put in a lot of fuel.
Especially with the damage he must have had, because they fixed the damage before they put the tires in the fuel. And I can't see it being a lot of fuel. Maybe they didn't put fuel. I don't know. We'll have a look. Only time will tell.
Not sure what happened there, but he has come out in third place. Technically, what you know, none of the AI takes points, so he is leading the race at the moment. Not far behind those AI, so you can catch up to them shortly. This match has gotten past Devon. He's up into 5th place. And he'll want to get on working on that gap. The gap between him and Chen now approximately, is that, I think it's 17 seconds. Now the AIs that were in first and second, they have come into the pits together. That has promoted Chen into the lead of the race. Where is Nizmax? Coming past the pits now. He'll get the jump on those AI as well. They shouldn't come out ahead of him and affect his race. There we go, around turn 1, and he has successfully navigated those two. Still one AI out on second in second place. He hasn't pit yet, so this is going to be Chen in the lead with Nizmax in second pretty well shortly.
Has Devon pitted yet or not?
Let's have a look. Let's bring up the... I'm not actually sure. I don't know how to check.
No, I was done.
No, I'm actually not. I actually don't know how to check. But yeah, he's in 4th place. Yeah, I've just brought up the timing screen. Basically, just you can see what the guys did on the last lap. Who's the fastest man on circuit, and then obviously if you see a penalty on the screen, then this will clarify the penalty. So Devon has red next to his name, which means penalty. Bring up the timing screen, it tells you it's a 1 second penalty. Gavin also had a 1 second penalty early on in the race. He's no longer with us. I'm not sure what he's up to, but I'm just glad that this commentary box is locked. Anyone who watched round 3 will be grateful.
I'm pretty sure Gavin had a penalty, or 1 second penalty for
Gavin.
In the car.
Not sure what happened to Gavin in one race, but he showed up in the comms box with me and Johan, and he proceeded to talk the most out of all of us for the rest of the session, and then at the end informed us that his mic was off. So no one back home actually got to hear anything he was saying while we were keeping quiet for him.
I love that guy.
That was quite a silent stream if you were back home and not sure what was going on. That's what it was. Gavin decided to do the commentary without sharing his voice.
I'm not the only one that breaks stuff, apparently. Love it. Love it. Anyway, back to the action.
That's Maxwell second, Chen still leads, gap 16.7 seconds.
That's a massive gap. I'm quite surprised.
Huge gap, but he really came out of the pits quickly. I'm just so surprised there's no damage on that car. Did he maybe choose not to repair the damage on the car?
There's
But
something. It's either that or fuel.
this
One
Max
of the
won't have
two.
any issue catching him.
Well, it looks like the gap was pretty stable at the moment.
Don't see any huge damage to the car. I see a bit of scuff marks there on the front, but nothing major, nothing structural.
No,
Car looks fine to me.
it's still twitching all over
And
the place. It's fighting it all the way through every corner. Like maybe that's his driving style.
really aggressive then on those front tyres. See whose tyres last the longest towards the end, whose tyres will drop off a cliff as we enter or we approach the final third of this race. It's really flown by. It's a lot easier with a co-commentator. I don't mind doing the solo commentary on the F1. I'm just not a fan of the solo commentary on this.
No, I can imagine.
There's not a lot of battles on screen, so you know, you tend to repeat yourself.
You are a fantastic commentator. Every time I've seen you or heard you, great job. Even if you're alone, the amount of knowledge you carry in that head of yours is fantastic. And for me to join you drinking beer, choosing not to drive, even a better decision. Better.
Gap now at the front, 8.4 seconds, so that has come down substantially.
16.
That's halved.
It was 16.
That's halved, so he's lost 50% of his gap within a lap.
The shot is coming.
Let's actually focus now on Chen and see if we can get a hint at what happened there. Did he have a off-track excursion? Maybe we can see some damage on the car.
I don't see damage, but it
looks fine.
Can
but
see
the time definitely suggests he had some off-track,
in front of him.
some time with the track.
It's
not gonna help. Traffic is not gonna help. Unless that's human traffic.
That traffic is not that. Our tires aren't happy on that car. I tell you that now. I don't think he changed tires.
Can you come into the pits and not change tires? I think that's also a thing on this game.
Yes.
So he could be out there on his original tires.
Yes.
Oh, that could explain losing 50% to your gap in a lap. When that gap was 16 seconds. It's climbing again.
10. It's back up to 10, so I might be wrong, but that car language, that body language of that car it's not happy. It's twitching all over the place.
Seems like the penalties have come to a dead stop. I have no information on my race feed. The last thing on my race feed was the fact that Raptor was disqualified, and how long ago did I speak about that?
Oh,
so, guys keeping it clean for the last couple of laps, it seems.
Raptor, ophou chokka vang langs die trek, my vriend. Okay.
Got a feel for him. He did put in some time for this race, and obviously something went wrong. But next Thursday's another. That gap now 12 seconds. So Devin's not going to let this go. Now I wonder, is it in fact that he not put fuel in the car? Is he running a really light car right now? Did he maybe not change tires? Or
I think at this stage of the race, with him pulling 2 seconds in 2 laps, he's got more pace. I just hope that car's working properly and has got enough fuel, and he can make it to the end. Because we know Mr. Consistent's not far away.
Just 12 seconds down the road, and we know in this game 12 seconds is really worth absolutely nothing if you need to do a pit stop.
And for Chen to be 12 seconds in front after having a spin as well.
I mean, that gap was 16 seconds, came down to 8, and he's managed to claw most of it back. Yep. So wonder how much fuel's in that car. Maybe it's running on fumes. I can check. Can you see whatever I'm showing on screen? So right now, so when I change the numbers, you can see them.
Exactly.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the speedo up on screen. Then you'll briefly be able to see their liters. Just don't mention what they are, because I did this in round 1 and basically all the drivers were listening to the stream for that very reason. So now we don't talk about fuel loads, but I'll bring it up on screen so you can see it.
I've got 500 milliliters of beer right in front of me.
Okay, so there is Chen. Can you see it on the right hand side?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. It actually seems like a comfortable amount, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And then Nismax. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Quite a bit more.
You can see the literage. You don't know what it amounts to in laps. What they're running in lean or rich.
Yeah, definitely. Don't know what fuel mix they're running. And obviously 30 minutes, little over 30 minutes remaining. There's still a bit of distance in this race.
Exactly.
But even the smaller amount of fuel between the two that we saw, I still think that's sufficient to finish this race.
I'm thinking, yeah, it will be
might be touch and go if he does the whole thing in rich, but
he has to do it slimly. He has to run the car in lean or protect the car where Mr. Shark can push once he feels like it's time.
Gap was 16 seconds, came down to 8, and look at it now, almost back at 15. 10 really just giving it everything.
He's Casper Sky, white Ferrari. He's doing a Kimi Raikkonen, I'm telling you.
Old Kimi.
Oh, what a legend. Good to see Toki back up into 5th. Oh, Toki. Good guy. Drives quickly. Sometimes makes that harsh mistake here and there. Good to see the guy. And the judge, let's see, where's the judge?
I'm an amateur commentator, not a professional actor. I'm not gonna lie.
The judge
leave it at that. So Wesley still down in 9th? We forgot about the 2 Porsches. Down in 9th and 11th. See, they're still gonna get, they'll still get reasonable points for their outing or finishing the race. See a lot of AI here, so Toki would currently be in 3rd, Devon would currently be in 4th. Means Wes would pick up points for 5th and Judge would pick up points for 6th.
I think, to be brutally honest, Jonathan.
Yes.
When the sun goes down and the lights come on and the track temperature goes a little bit down, the car handles like, there's no prettier way to say it, but it handles like a donkey sometimes.
Definitely.
a lot of understeer doesn't perform the way that you used to.
Well, you obviously rely on temperature to activate your tires, to switch them on, and to get your optimal grip level. So now, if your track is at night and it's cooler, you're obviously you're not getting the full potential out of those tires because they're not even at their operating temperature most of the time.
Oh, there we go, Devon, having a spin.
That's Wes. Wes having a spin.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Just little mistakes creeping in during the course of the race, and
yeah, but this being a simulator, especially at night, that temperature's down, it's easy to drop it. Catch a curve too much, drop it around the corner. That's why the quick drivers are. Oh, he got
big mistake now. As I tune in on the car, we watch him spin around so constantly. Just these mistakes, and now Nismac 6.5 seconds. That really cost him. That gap was up at 13.
Eating into it.
Now just having one too many spins, and you've got to look at those tires with a question mark. And are his tires okay, or is he just spinning the car because he's pushing too hard?
Maybe you can bring up that graphic on the right there, just for me and you, and not say anything. I just want to see what the tire life is like. Oh, it's not there.
It's not there.
No, it's not there. So we don't know.
So there's nothing
I think he's on his original set of tires. That's what I think.
Just a few spins starting to creep in now. It's really the only thing I could identify is either he didn't change those tires and they're falling off, or he's just pushing so hard that he's spinning.
Yeah. I think
that gap now 5.6, so Nismac is making a little bit of progress, closing that gap a little bit.
But hear me when I tell you, look at Devon when the sun starts shining again and the track temperature climbs, he'll be quick again. The car handles different.
No, it may even sound a little silly, but from a personal perspective, if let's say you've practiced this race and you've practiced this race in daylight, surely when it gets dark, things are going to look a little bit different than if you were using this or that as a brake marker. You might not be able to see it. It could affect your race in some way if you have not practiced at night.
Is that every driver has got his own specific, especially track specific markers when they brake or when they like to brake.
Yeah.
It might 2 meters earlier than some people. It might be 5 meters later than other people.
Yeah.
But once the sun goes down, it changes look-wise. A. B. The tires don't work that great when the tire temp or the track temperature goes down. So it's also very specific. It's like driving in qualifying in Formula 1.
Yeah.
And once you put 100 liters into the car,
it's a different vehicle.
Doing 100% race, it's completely different.
Yeah, well, it feels like a bus. It doesn't want to turn, it doesn't want to stop.
It doesn't want to do fuck all. It's like a donkey.
Definitely, and you can't compare it. And I mean, I think that's just a problem with a lot of guys who spend a lot of their practice time in time trial. Time trial, you've got a perfect car. Your tires don't deplete, your fuel doesn't deplete, it just stays at one set level. And whereas, you know, if you've practiced like that alone on a time trial track with a perfect car, and then you get to a race and there's people around you and they want to bump you, and You're like, what are you doing?
No,
You know, it's
you brake it 5 meters later, expecting the car to stop, and it doesn't.
it really doesn't.
And that's what makes this difficult. Because as soon as the sun goes down, you're driving, you brake one lap, you brake at the 100-meter board, you brake at the 100-meter board 5 laps later.
You have to watch as the car you thought you understood simply changes its own physics while you drive it.
Exactly.
And then you've sort of just got to evolve into how it feels at night and get the most out of it then, and then wait for the sun to come back.
Exactly, and it's starting to come back now.
Obviously, we've had a dry race last week as well as this week. I'm not sure what the deal is. I think are we switching back dynamic weather for the last race? I'm not sure. Or are we switching it back next season?
After the monsoon of Germany, I would think they decided to change that because we had a drunk Pannonian called Wazzy doing the start of the race on slicks like a champion.
And now he's in the com box and his car keys have been removed.
That's what they call in English football. I've been relegated.
Red card.
Badly.
Off to the box for you.
Yeah. It's not.
As Max has picked up some sort of penalty, he's got a red block next to his name.
No,
didn't want that. Nothing serious, just 1 second. But that means he needs to get past 10. And then he needs to at least open a gap of 1 second.
I mean, there's 20 minutes to go. This is the time for him to push. And
he'll know he had that penalty. He would have seen it pop up on his screen, and now he'll know he has to react. Just over 20 minutes to go.
To get a penalty now, that tells me he's pushing, and it's now time to push. So let's see. I think as the sun rises, I've got the feeling that he was the quicker driver. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably have the extra little bit in the tank to burn. So if you can flip the dial up, put it in rich and gun for it, the time is now. The time is now. And the gap is going down. It's 5.8 now. It was over 6. It's going down gradually. Something tells me we might be in for a surprise at the end of this race, Jonathan. Especially if I think if Chen keeps it together, he will win it. If he has another moment with a spin.
Just to you want to know what the Formula 1, the FIA Formula 1 qualifying record around this track is?
Tell me, in 19 what year?
It was set in 1980.
80. What time? I reckon we've got the fastest race lap time now of 1:48.8. I'm reckoning it was like a 1:30-ish.
1:33.2. 1:33.2.
Oh. Good old days. They're fucking old, but they're quick.
That's some serious pace for 1980. That's 40 years ago. And
if I can ask, by whom was it?
That was by a name I unfortunately do not know. That was by Bruno. I'm probably going to butcher this name. It seems Italian. Bruno Giacomelli.
Okay, no,
I think it's Italian. Bruno Giacomelli.
That's okay. We were only born in '84, so that's
Yeah, that's right.
natural in that. But
And then the same circuit as the record I just read you from 1980. Same circuit, IndyCar Series 2017, a 122.4.
Okay. I can take that. If you take a
I'd
modern
love to know what a
Formula
modern Formula One car could do around here.
One, at least 5 seconds quicker. I can tell you
I'm
that.
sure it would obliterate the IndyCar time. It's just got more downforce. I mean, it's not up for debate.
It will do 22, 21 maybe even. I'm sure.
It's actually now having a look. Just over 15 minutes left in your race. Nismax still holding that gap at 6 seconds, not able to close it further.
Just hold on. Last 15 minutes, believe me, in an endurance race like this, it's the toughest. The last 20 minutes, I would say. Especially in the hour and a half race. A mistake or two may happen. It's chance to lose. I can tell you that much. And we've seen that he has spun it twice already.
Just shows you how long F1 has been trying to get a foothold in the United States. Nothing recent. They've been battling to get it right there for quite some time.
It's good to see, like, obviously the build-up to Austin, Texas this year. They've been in Los Angeles. Max Verstappen with the RB8, the good old V8 car. Been 3 of those cars in Los Angeles doing donuts and making a show out of it. And it's lucky to see. Because Jonathan, you would probably know. The V8 doing donuts right in front of you, it makes your lungs vibrate. And that feeling and that smell of rubber.
What are you talking about? It's the same as a Formula E car.
No, it's not.
When you see a Formula E car and then you get the sudden urge to go out and get a vacuum cleaner.
You get a 2009 Red Bull doing donuts in front of you with that old V8. With a highway.
It's definitely not the same. I mean, F1's a bit stuck because it needs to move forward, but the technology that it's moving forward with is not effectively good for racing.
I would say it's
so
quicker.
Obviously they've changed the cars for 2021, actually making them easier to follow, but it has already been confirmed that the new cars will be heavier.
Yeah.
So definitely not getting any lighter, and apparently the main reason for the car being heavier is the suspension changes because of the bigger wheels.
Yeah. That plus more battery power.
Yeah, definitely the hybrid taking up most of that weight, making up a big portion of it.
Modern Formula One cars are quick, but if you look at it physically, it's so much less impressive. Like a V8 screaming.
I remember back in it was either 98 or 99, and Ferrari built I don't know, it was halfway through the season, and they came out with this new motor, and it wasn't much quicker, but it was a lot lighter, so it took some weight off the car. And this Ferrari V10 motor weighed 104 kilograms.
Yeah.
The entire engine weighed 104 kilograms. That's insane. The car weighed 600 kilograms with the driver.
Yeah, that was the weight limit, was 600 kg back in that day. But I can
Max
tell
5.3 seconds behind.
he's fighting his way through traffic. I'm watching him, as you are.
Keeping on the leaders, keeping an eye on the times. Don't see too many battles out on track. That's why the race director hasn't been too good today. Haven't flicked through the cars too much. Just don't really see any battles out on circuit. While I say that, just found one. Devon. Got some AI in front of him, but that is for position. And doesn't need to get by. If he were to stay there, he would still pick up their points. But if he gets by, then he's got an AI between him and Toki. That AI is not going to have any traction problems because he's look at that. Can you see that? That is some impressive BMW technology. Didn't know they had that available. But that car is levitating, so you really don't need to worry about any tire graining, I suppose.
Watkins, Glen, sorry. Yeah, it is.
Lead at the front, still 5.5 seconds. Hasn't really come down. Nismax hasn't been able to close it. 10 has dominated this race. Remember, Nismax has a 1 second penalty, so effectively that 5.3 second penalty, you can add a second to it. Whatever the gap is, you can add a second to it. So that is the same case for Devon, but he doesn't need to worry about that too much. Wesley is not within reach. 11.5 minutes to go. Nismax has something hidden in the tank. Now is the time to show it.
He needed to show it 10 minutes back.
Now is the time to empty out his pockets and just give it everything, but 10 minutes to go. 5 seconds the gap. It would take a special effort, and then obviously he's got that penalty, so he'd have to pass him and make sure he finished the second ahead of him.
Exactly. Now I think if Nismax had something in the pocket, he started to show it 10 minutes back. I don't think that the gap being stable like it is now. Like I said, only Chen can lose this race. By mistake, spinning or running out of fuel. We don't know. But it's his race. He dominated well, actually, considering that he had 2 spins and a quick pit stop. So
only had two major spins that we know of, at least, because we saw them on screen. And one actually involved hitting a barrier pretty hard, so got away with that.
Looking at this car, how this car's behaving and how he's handling the car, I'm massively impressed, Jonathan. I'm not gonna lie. Where has he been all the whole season? Really?
I don't know, but it's looking good for the last 2 wins here today. Still got 2 races to go in the season. Could make a late charge, maybe even upset something in the championship.
Yeah.
If Nismax finished the second there, he'll take home 18 points rather than 25. So Chen's already cost 7 points to Nismax. That's what I mean by disrupting the championship. He's stealing points from Nismax, stealing points from Munna could affect the championship. But first we need Munna to get back in the car. To get him back in Johannesburg.
I hope Muna's watching this and taking note, because There's a new boy on the grid. From the province you're working in, and he's showing his skill here. Doing well. Doing well. Really well. This is an impressive drive. To keep, and you remember, Jonathan, in the first 10-20 minutes, he had mismatch on him within 2 seconds with their pressure.
And that went on for a number of laps, and he was able to soak up the pressure for the most part. Made 1 or 2 mistakes, but didn't really cost him at the time. And then after that round of pit stops, he came out with a 16-second gap, and really was nothing to it. He made a mistake at one stage. Gap went down to 8 seconds. He was able to stabilize it. Probably the smallest the gap has been right now, 5 seconds. But I just think he's done enough. Just 7 minutes to go. He just needs to keep this car on track. And really, it's his race to lose. Unless Dirk's got 5 seconds in him.
Really impressed. Well driven, and it looks like he's on the edge of that car every lap. Maybe why that 2 spins happen. But to come out on top with a class field like Nizzy behind him, well done. Good stuff. And I hope it's not... Obviously, I think maybe he put effort into this race. I hope he puts effort in every race.
Well, a result like this is the motivation you would need to get back at it.
Definitely.
Just want to go faster. When you start to reach this level, you just want to go quicker because it just stirs you on. Problem is when you're riding around at the back and can't seem to find time and don't know what you're doing wrong, that can be really demotivating. But when you start to reach this sort of speed and you know you've got the capability of winning or at least getting a podium, then I'm sure he's gonna practice for the next round. He's not gonna just let it go.
Spoken like a true race driver, Jonathan. I couldn't have even put it better myself. You know, if you put the effort in, you can. And if you don't, you at the back.
From basically from F1 2018 to 2019, I was slow, so, but I found about 3 seconds. So
in 19, you are quite.
It didn't necessarily start out that way, but you got to put time into the game. But I think that this game in particular, the game we're watching, I think if you're comparing it to F1, I think this is even worse when it comes to you need to put time in. It's not something about you can't show up on Thursday night and beat these guys. You're gonna have to put some time aside, some other time, and just get a feel for the track and get a feel for the setup. And like I say, the setup can be the difference between Ken's race and disaster after disaster and a rage quit.
It's not just that. It's like F2 for instance. You are mega quick in F2. Mega. Because it's less technical. You can set up the car up less.
It really comes down to just, it's
skill.
I think it's different. I think it's different driving styles really, and I suppose your driving style can adapt better to a particular car than someone else. I sort of picked up on the F2 cars pretty quickly, and I enjoy them. And they've actually improved my 1 lap pace in F1. because I found a few tricks driving an F2 car, and turns out there's one or two things you can pull off in an F1 car that maybe you've always been able to pull them off, but I didn't know that. So I have found a couple of tenths since I've been practicing F2. It's helped with F1.
Those tenths comes from braking.
That's really, it comes about.
Zone and entering a corner and focusing on the exit. And
yeah, like I say, focusing on the exit, because I mean, if there's a long straight on the other side of that exit and you get a terrible exit, well, that's your lap. Your lap's done.
I'll be a little bit blunt, and I apologize to everybody listening to the stream or might watch it, but F1 and F2, the main difference with the smaller tires, the smaller car, the smaller power, it's more simplified. So it's like sex. With a condom and without a condom. It's the same thing. Just
the one that
depends. It depends on your skill and how you can feel the car, and you know what I'm saying.
I don't like fiddling with the settings of the. Okay, I find it difficult enough to concentrate over that period of time, and taking your eyes off the apex of the next corner so that you can adjust your fuel or adjust your ERS. That can be the breaking point that you missed. That could be, and usually when you start fiddling with ERS, it's because you're defending and you're getting desperate. So, and that's not the time to take your eyes off the apex. Basically, I think it was. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think it was Mika Hakkinen. He says that as a racing driver, you should only look at two things. You should be looking at your braking point, and then you should look at the apex, and then you should look at your next braking point. Even if it's at the end of the straight, he says that's what you look at the whole way down.
But you know what, Mika's also a bastard, because yes, corner entry is very important, but the exit
is just as important.
That's the part he leaves out, because like any good chef, I'm not going to give you a recipe away. This is feel for the car and your exit. The exit also counts as the entrance, if not more, a little bit.
Just 45 seconds remaining on the clock. We're coming into the closing stages of the race. Obviously, depending where these guys find themselves on circuit, when that thing hits 0, they will then complete the lap they are on. So if they manage to go over the start-finish line, which it looks like they're going to do, Chen is now going around the final corner with 20 seconds remaining. Means he's going to have to do one more lap in full. I think everyone else that crosses the line will be classified a lap behind.
Nizzy also, I mean, from 6 seconds down to 2.5.
As opposed to 2.5, it's just all a little too late, and maybe Chen just getting off the throttle. I've got bad news. We've lost the driver. Seems like Judge has been disconnected with moments to go.
You know, there's only one word resounding.
He literally just disappeared off my screen with a second to go.
There's one word. One word. We all know the Judge. The master.
I'm sure he's rehearsing it as we speak. So let's just follow Chen on board, in car view, as he goes around for the final time. Nizmax 1.4 seconds behind. There is Nizmax. Separates. He's right behind the leader. The leader's right there in front of him. Will there still be a late surge in this race? Remember that penalty? Max would have to clear him, it's too late. Surely it's too late.
Yeah, I think so too. But
keep it together and whatever you do, don't engage that AI in front of you. And there we go, over the pit straight. And there we go.
Well
Chen, nicely done. 25 points on the night. Max will take second. 18 points. Let's have a look. Next human driver, as explained earlier, the AI drivers will not take points. So this will be your next human driver. You will finish the race technically in third. It's Toki. Then further down, we have Devon. He will finish in fourth. Don't know if you can see that on his screen, but I most certainly hope he can't, because that must be off-putting.
One thing you must do, Jana, I don't know about you. You need a podium interview. It's definitely.
I'm not doing a podium interview.
I'll do it.
No. We haven't done one all season. I need to ask the drivers first. I'm not going to do one today. The guys don't. Some of the guys don't like. They come into the party chat and they're all awkward and they get thrown on the spot and they're like, no, it looks like Charlotte Clerk after Bahrain. He just doesn't want to be there.
Fuck yeah, just like what's my toffees?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
There we go. We're just gonna wait for the final cars to get over the line so that we can get the final classifications. But Chen has won this race. He's won from Nismax, and then obviously Toki would be third, Devon fourth, and Wesley will take home points for fifth place. Judge losing out with 1 or 2 seconds remaining, just disappearing from our screens. Not sure what that was all about. Can confirm that Gavin left because of a power failure. So there we have your results. Chen winning the race from Nismax. Then it will be Toki down in third, Devon fourth, Wesley fifth. Just the 5 human drivers finishing the race today. But yeah, what a race. I mean, Chen should have had pole. Obviously lost pole because of a penalty, but took the lead of the race into turn 1, sweeping around the outside of Gavin, and yeah, he had pace the entire race, and he was able to react when Nismax came back at him. But yeah, I suppose that's it. Thank you to everyone who has watched, everyone who has joined us, everyone who's going to watch this later. Thanks for watching. Congratulations to Chen. Congratulations to Nismax. Great race.
Yep.
And thank you to Wazzy for joining me in the combox.
Yeah. Jonathan, it was my absolute pleasure.
Boys and girls, we will be back next week, Thursday night, same time. Should be back with Captain Nice. And Wazzy should be back in his green BMW. Let's hope he's going to practice from now until then. But we'll speak to you then. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.